Welcome back to another episode of the Toxin Free-ish podcast. It is officially tallow season. It is cold and windy and the air is getting dry here in Virginia. And this is the time of year that I start adding tallow into my skincare routine. So I thought it was the perfect opportunity to bring my really good friend and owner of Willow Moon Farm, who makes the only tallow that I put on my skin, and bring her back to talk about all things tallow. So Sara, welcome back. You have already been a guest on the podcast before in the past, but this time we're going to be talking about all things tallow.
Yes, thanks so much for having me back. I'm excited to be here today.
It's going to be good. I get a lot of questions. Tallow is like one of those controversial ingredients where you have half the internet and estheticians telling you and dermatologists telling you like tallow is so bad for your skin. And then you have the other half the internet that is like, it's the most amazing thing you could ever put on your skin. And I know you're the perfect person to answer all those questions and have that conversation with. So let's dig right into it.
Let's do it.
Why is tallow so prized and so amazing? Why did our ancestors use it? And why do people around the world still use it in their skincare? What makes it so special?
So if you don't already know, tallow is a rendered fat that comes from a red meat animal, typically from a cow. It's so compatible with our skin, and that's why I absolutely love it. When it comes from grass-finished animals, it's full of nutrients our skin actually recognizes. It's rich in CLA, which stands for conjugated linoleic acid, which that helps to keep the skin calm, moisturized, and protected from everyday stress. It also contains a naturally antimicrobial fatty acid, and that actually supports healing and encourages collagen renewal. So that'll help with like softening early signs of aging. Why I specifically think it's so special is because it's made of the same saturated fats of our own cell membranes. So that means it absorbs beautifully, supports a strong, healthy skin barrier, and it helps to balance moisture, regulate oil production, and defend the skin from free radicals. As far as our ancestors, well, if you didn't already know, they used animal fats for all the things, but especially on their skin. It's really all they used on their skin. And I think there's enough evidence and enough hype around ancestral living to just trust that they knew what they were doing. It's a part of that nose to tail philosophy, right? Like nothing goes to waste. We honor the whole animal. I think that's very important. And being a farmer and raising animals, especially, I think that's important. In most of today's food system, this incredibly nutrient-dense fat often gets thrown away, discarded, overlooked, and it's one of the most valuable parts of the animal, just most don't even know.
Yeah. So I want to talk about commercial tallow in general. I have learned so much from you, and I want to take all of those nuggets of things that I've learned from you, and I want to give them to my audience because I think the details are so important. The word tallow is not a regulated word in the skincare industry. It can mean literally freaking anything. Let's talk about what it can mean because your tallow is the true ancestral tallow. It is made from beef suet, which is a very specific fat. Can you explain what beef suet is and kind of maybe what other companies potentially are sourcing or using that is not actually true tallow?
Okay, so tallow again is rendered fat. Now, some companies, small brands even, may use beef fat trimmings. So this would be the fat, on the back of the cow or other areas. Beef suet is all we use. And what that means is that all of that fat comes from around the organs of the animal. So this is going to be the highest nutrient density fat on the animal. This is going to have the least amount of impurities. It's going to have the least amount of that beefy scent that just naturally comes with the fat. So that's all we use. And ours is 100% pasture raised, grass fed, grass finished. They don't get any grain. It comes from a 3,000 acre regenerative farm. We've toured their farm. We've seen their cows. We've met their cows, met the farmers. We have that 100% full transparency. Now, where I think that it gets sticky is when you do buy tallow from maybe an animal that was fed grain, all these different variables come into place here. Like, was that grain certified organic or was it doesn't even have to be certified organic, but was it sprayed with glyphosate? Did they use synthetic fertilizers? Like that's what the animal's consuming, on the daily. So it just puts more variables and more concerns into that end product. So me sourcing something that's 100% grass fed and finished, like I don't have to worry about that. Something else that I think is really problematic with small skincare brands and even big brands, like outsourcing tallow and not knowing these farmers and having transparency, is that a lot of them are buying it like pre-rendered. So we're talking like a tub of tallow shipped to your door or a 5-gallon bucket, depending on the size of the brand. And was that cut with seed oils? Was that cut with another fat? Like you don't know because you're just getting in that end product. So we get the fat, the beef suet. We go pick it up from the farm. It's an hour away. It's a bit of a trip, but it's worth it to us. I cut it up all by hand. I look at every single piece. If there's a piece that, who knows, just a little bit of brown on it or something, like I discard it. Like only the best of the best from the highest quality fat I already get is going into what's getting rendered into that pot. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, hopefully.
One of the reasons why, actually the reason that I buy your tallow is because of the way that you make it. And I want to just go over and cover, I know this is an interview with you, but I just want to tell people, and you and I have talked about this. My biggest issue with commercial tallow is that so many of the toxins that are in our food supply, that are in our fertilizers, that are in pesticides, that's everywhere, are water. So even like irrigation being used on farmland, things like forever chemicals, PFAS chemicals, they chill in our fat. I don't want to say chill.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Yeah. They
Love it.
accumulate in fat. And so if you have a cow that is, even just taking on those toxins, those forever chemicals, they are being fed food that has, like you said, glyphosate or other pesticides, things that are toxins that can store in the fat, you're putting that on your face. And so many companies are doing exactly what you're talking about. And this is the same with essential oil companies that buy pre-distilled oils. It's the same thing. You have no idea how that was farmed, what's in it, how it was rendered, like you said, how those oils were distilled. Like you just have zero chain of custody or knowledge or understanding of where it comes from. And tallow is one of those things that when you render it, and I'm going to ask you specifically about like your rendering process, we're going to get a little
Mhm.
bit more into detail about it. It's still all of the fat and the goodness and the nutrients are there. But if you also are putting forever chemicals and other fat soluble toxins on your face, you're not like, just wouldn't use tallow. And I tell people this all the time. I would never, you couldn't pay me money to put tallow on my face that was purchased pre-rendered because you have no idea. I could be putting all kinds of chemicals on my face that lived in that fat and lived in that animal because of the way that it was raised, and I would never know. And when something like tallow becomes really popular and blows up, because everyone's out there being like, oh my gosh, tallow is amazing, because it is. And these companies want to capitalize on how popular it's becoming. And so all of a sudden, a need for more tallow floods the market. I can go on Etsy, I can go on Amazon and buy buckets of tallow. I'm
Yes.
sorry. That's gross. Please don't
Yeah.
put that stuff on your face. I can't with that. But that's what companies are doing because they're like, oh, people want tallow. We're going to add tallow. And that's what they're doing. And I love that I can literally walk through the woods and land on your property and I can see all your farm animals and all of your regenerative organic farming and your herbs. And you literally are in your shop, like hand making, hand whipping tallow. And I know exactly, you just said exactly where you get it from. You are friends with and have a relationship with that farm. You know exactly how those cows are raised. And you're only using the organ fat, which is the cleanest, most pure part of the animal. And so I feel so safe and comfortable and confident putting your tallow on my face.
I'm glad. I'm glad we can
Yeah.
do that for.
Yeah. So I've seen you render tallow and you put up videos. I love that on your Instagram you share a lot of the behind the scenes of what it takes to actually make your skincare. And what is your exact, like, why you render it twice, right? Why do you make your tallow the way that you make it?
Okay. So first off, when I get the beef fat, it comes in just some packaging and it's frozen. So I have to unthaw it. That takes 24 hours, sometimes longer in the fridge. Once it's unthawed, we pull out our cutting boards and we just cut. Just like you would cut up some vegetables. We sit there for hours and cut it up and it takes time, but It's the best way to do it. So we cut it all up. And then, like I said, if there's any little trim pieces or anything, I just feel like, I don't want to use that. I discard that, put it into a big pot, and then I put it in on the stove, and I have to watch it all day long, make sure it never rises above a certain temperature to keep all those nutrients intact. And then I put it into big bowls, stick it in my fridge to cool. And then the next day I pull it out. So the next day when I pull it out, I go and do a wet render. And the wet rendering, what that does is to help pull out any other possible impurities, but also to help take away that beefy scent. So I do that 1 to 2 times. It just matters on the batch that I get. Sometimes I feel like, that smells a little more beefier. So I'm going to do another wet render. And basically, I just add water in with the tallow. It simmers very, very lightly. And basically, what that does is just rendering out any possible impurities. So put that back in the fridge in bowls. Next day, I'll pull out my tallow cakes, we'll say. They're like hard, circular little tallow cakes. So I pull them out on the cutting board. And on the bottom, I will actually see like sometimes a little bit of brown residue. It is so minimal since I have partnered with this regenerative farm. I always used pasture raised and good quality tallow, don't get me wrong. But once I met this farm and like they could supply me with, they have a 3,000 acre farm and they specialize in cattle. It's basically their 100% main focus. So I'm so glad I've connected with them, because if I didn't, I used to source it from like other different farms and have to kind of pull it all together to have enough.
And you'd be sold out a lot, because that's what
Yeah,
happens when your standards are so high and you will not use something commercially made as you go out of stock.
exactly. So, I just pull off any impurities with like a knife on the bottom of that tallow cake. It'll be like a little bit of brown residue, nothing crazy. Wipe that off and then do my other wet render. And then, I'll just check it again the next day once it gets out of the fridge. And if it needs another render, I'll do so. And if not, then it's ready to go. Be whipped into body butters, face creams, herbal infusions for like our farmer's hand healing salve and our crunchy mama balm. So that's all it really takes. I shouldn't say that's all, because that's a lot, but it's
Yeah.
worth it.
And what you're putting into those formulas is also regeneratively grown organic herbs and
Yeah.
things that are in like organic oils. Like every single thing you make is so like perfectly sourced or grown by you. And I love having your products in my home because I don't know, I was explaining this the other day to somebody, like all of my coffee mugs are handmade. And I know it sounds like bougie and stupid, but I was, I was explaining to somebody how like drinking coffee is such a ritual for me in the mornings. And when I'm holding a handmade, hand thrown piece of pottery or mug, it just, I don't know. It's kind of a spiritual experience. I feel like I'm grounding it in something made by somebody's hands. And that just makes it feel like that much more special. And I feel that way about your skincare. Every time I use your skincare, I spray, something on my face, or I use your cream, or I love your Farmer's Hands healing balm. If anybody has like dry, cracked skins, it is literally the best thing on the planet. But I'm like, Sara made this. Sara grew this. And
Yeah.
then she made it with her hands with love. And there's just something really special about that. I just love that so much.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
I'm a big handmade, shop local, like all the things. And I feel like you do feel that in the end product, and it's important.
yeah. So oftentimes I will have people tell me, oh, I tried tallow and it broke me out or it didn't work for me. And I always say to them, well, where did you get it from? Because if you are using products is the beef fat trimmings, or like you said, some companies pass off pork as tallow because tallow's not, let's talk about this. So if somebody sees tallow on an ingredient list, you don't actually know what part of the animal or where that tallow came from. So is that called lard? Pork lard,
Yeah.
beef fat trimmings, all of it can be labeled as tallow on a skincare product, right?
Yes, that's true. And I have nothing against lard. I love lard. We have pastured pigs and we use lard in our goat's milk soaps. But we like to use tallow in our other products. So I like both. I love both animal fats. I think it's important. Like, I wouldn't be alarmed if someone had pork tallow in a product, but I just think, like, for transparency, it's important for the consumer to just know what they're using. It's like if you had olive oil or avocado oil, like you want to know which one is it.
Yeah.
So on our labels, we try to put like regeneratively raised beef tallow, so you know exactly. Some companies might say pork tallow because it's a trending word to use. But yeah, I think it's important as a producer to put that on there and specify like it's regeneratively raised and it's beef tallow. And again, yeah, like you said, they can use beef suet or beef fat. So that's kind of that confusing for the consumer as well. So I just think it's important to know who you're buying the tallow from and to know that company's practices.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the best way is to ask and to ask for like proof. And if you get a very vague response, then you know that they have no idea. They don't know. They're just buying it and they have no idea where it's really coming from. And I will also say this because I work with a lot of skincare companies and I get to see a lot of the behind the scenes contracts and formulations and sign a lot of NDAs with these companies. And oftentimes companies will be trying to do the right thing and they will go out and source what they want is regenerative, organic, pasture raised beef suet. And they're buying it from companies that are overseas because there's not a whole lot of sourcing here in the US and you can't guarantee you can get enough to keep things in stock. So they are buying these products and sourcing them from people under this, like, oh, I just believe you. Right? They're not flying to these countries and seeing their cows and seeing how things are done for themselves. They're sourcing from places and just having to trust also. So it's really kind of like a third hand conversation. Even when you ask a brand, oftentimes, where do you get it? They say, oh, we buy from the best. We found this X, Y, and Z out of Australia. Okay, well, did you fly to Australia? Are they telling the truth? Is that really, what's happening? And most companies don't have the bandwidth, the money to do something like that. They're just doing the best they can. So,
Yeah, and I think sometimes they just say that we're getting it from the best, etc., because it sounds good to you, but
yeah,
really this is a product that is often thrown away. So, I mean, yes, it takes a little bit of work, a little bit of energy to look for the right source, but there's enough farmers in the US doing it right, and we should be supporting them first in my opinion. I'm a big shop local as possible, shop by farmers and our US farmers. It's important to keep our farmers in business, and this is a product that would be thrown away. So me being able to purchase this is extra income for them that might have just been thrown away if not. And I know the majority of farmers are throwing away, things like organs, beef fat, bones, and the same thing with pork and pork fat and lard and things because people think like the whole hype around that animal fats are bad for us and all the things that come
which
with
is
that.
total BS.
Yes, and I'm so glad that everyone's awakening and knowing that actually they're really nourishing for you. You need those. So yeah, I think it's really important to support your local community, and local to me is the US. Even if I had to have it shipped from somewhere 5, 6 states over, I would do it. Like it's important.
So there are a couple really big, really popular brands that are buying their pre-rendered tallow from China.
Let's go
And
there.
they conspicuously do not appear anywhere on my shopping guide.
I will just say that the majority of brands that are all about tallow are getting them from random sources, and I don't think as high as quality as pasture raised and grass finished. I think that the majority of small skincare brands are ordering them online. I see it in tallow Facebook
Yeah.
groups. I'm in a couple, and I've seen that where they're like, oh, Amazon's having this sale. You can get a 5-pound tote of rendered tallow for like 15 bucks. I see that a lot. I see it on Amazon. So I think that there's a very small percentage of us that are sourcing properly, I'll say.
In complete honesty, most companies will not tell you where they're getting their tallow from. So I have a very strict process for onboarding brands if they are on my toxin free shopping guide. And sourcing is a big one of them. I ask a lot of really difficult questions. I have some brands that reach out to me and they're like, oh my gosh, we want to work with you. We want to partner with you. And the first thing I tell people is I don't do paid anything. So like if a company wants me to do a reel, a social media post, a set of stories, or anything like that, the answer is absolutely no. I have never and will never do paid social media for anybody. If I research, use, and love your product, I will do it because I want to. I will promote your product because you're doing the right thing. And I love your product and I feel like it. And I don't do paid advertising. The second thing that I do is that I want to know all your sourcing. I have been known to ask for their actual like purchase orders. I have asked companies, like, I want to see your purchase order. I want to see where your purchase, especially if it's a company that's selling tallow, especially if it's a company like nanohydroxyapatite. I ask for that information. I go to a level of interest
DIA.
and investigation that some brands don't appreciate. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, never mind. We're good. And the fact that they have a problem handing over that information or hopping on a call with me and answering verbally, even.
Yeah.
And the companies that are like, well, we'll give you all of that information. Will you sign an NDA? I'm like, of course. I'm not interested in blasting companies. There may be days I wish I could, but I'm not in the business of trying to
Yeah.
talk crap about other companies. What I want is to hype up and promote the companies that are doing it right, that are setting the example. And so there are big tallow companies out there that are not transparent, will not tell me, don't know where they're coming from. Companies are not being transparent. That's the
Yeah.
point that I'm trying to make. And I'm going to hype up the companies that are doing it right. And I'm going to tell everybody where I get my products from. I can see with my own eyeballs where your products come from. And so that's why I use them. And that's why
I'm grazers.
I know I'm over there all the time. I'm like, ooh, look at all this tallow. I love it. Okay, let's get practical. I want to talk about my own experience with tallow because I'm a big fan, but I only use it when the air is dry and cold. It's not something that I personally reach for when it's like middle of summer and it's like hot outside. I'm more of like a hydrosol and oils kind of girl in the summer. That's just like what feels good on my skin. But when the weather starts to get cool and dry, I full on switch to tallow. But something that I have noticed is that the best way to use tallow to really like lock in moisture and like really support your skin is to use a hydrosol before you put the tallow on. That works incredibly well for me. I love a good hydrosol, like a regenerative, organic. I've seen your copper still. You sit and make your hydrosols the same way that you make, all the rest of your amazing skincare. I also love and support the company Evan Healy. They have great hydrosols, but I always tell people spray a hydrosol on your face after you wash your face.
Mhm.
Get that hydration on your skin. And then you can go to your oil and then your tallow. I always do the lightest water-based first, and then I move to an oil, and then I move to a tallow. So like, let's say I was using all Willow Moon Farm products. I would wash my face and then I would spray a hydrosol, and you have the Tulsi hydrosol, which I love. And then I would do like a glowing goddess serum, and then I would follow that up with tallow. That's how I personally use skincare.
Yeah.
How about
And
you? What is your
same way.
routine?
That's me to a T. I'm a 3-step girl. I don't want 20 steps. Hydrate the skin first, go on with your serum, and then the tallow is just going to lock it all in. And that's, again, what's going to help to lock in all your moisture that's already there in your skin. Something I see people say a lot is that tallow actually hydrates your skin. And that's false because the water-based products, so the hydrosols, that's adding the moisture, that's hydrating the skin. And then you go on with the serum, and then the the cream is just going to go on to lock it all in so you don't lose anymore. And it's going to help to build that skin barrier so that it can withstand these temperaments, the cold and the wind and everything. It's just going to really protect your face and build your skin barrier. I know you said that you don't personally like to use it in the summer, but I do. So in the summertime, so I'm a lot outside in the garden, at the lake, all the things. I spend a lot of time outside when it's warm out. And I don't like it first thing in the morning. It's too thick, and I'll be like putting on a sweat by 8 a.m. because I'm out in the garden or doing something with the animals. But if I get sunburned, like at the lake, and we come home, I shower, the first thing I'm doing is putting on tallow because it will literally take away that redness and inflammation almost instantly. It's just like an immediate relief. I love it. And then I might still be red, but by the next morning, I'll be fine. I love to use the Soothe face cream for that. I'll put it all over if I have a red spot on my neck or my back, somewhere where I just miss with sunscreen. But in the summer, I typically only use it at night because I agree that it's a heavier product. So it's not nice to put it on first thing in the morning and then go out and be at the beach or be in the sun all day because you're going to sweat. But I love it at night. Something else too, at night, your skin is like the most thirsty and it absorbs the most from your face care regimen. So doing tallow at night, like that's just my ritual, but I love it.
And we do live on a lake. You and I we have a lake. Like I'm as we're recording this, I'm looking out at the lake. And then if I go walk through the woods, I should have like a little like over the river and through the woods, over the lake, through the
Wait for
woods.
that.
And
Wendy's
To Sarah's house I go. People are always like, how close do you live to Sarah? And I'm like,
Yeah.
very like cut through the woods. Just
Yes.
get
I had
you.
someone last week, they were just messaging me, like saying all these kind words, and they were like, I'm so jealous you and Wendy are neighbors. It was funny. They just happened to
Come play
mention it
with us. Come hang out.
to you somehow, or so it was just funny that they mentioned that at the end.
I love that. So something that I love that you do is you educate our community. You host dinners, you do goat yoga so people can see like, how you make your bar soaps, which you have some of the best bar soaps that I love so much. But you really like to educate people about how you grow things, about regenerative agriculture. You and I share this passion for spreading the word of soil health and how we need to regenerate our soil if we're going to like save the world for generations to come. So I love that you take time in our local community where we live to do things like that.
Yeah,
That's great.
thanks. Yeah, I really love just like you said, educating. It's fun to me and I enjoy it. And I think it's important. It's an important aspect, but it's like one of the things I think I'm the most passionate about is just explaining everything we do and why we do it and giving people that connection with farms and that understanding.
If you were on a desert island and you could only have one of your products with you on that desert island for forever, which
Man.
product would it be?
Ooh, I would be totally torn between our Soothe face cream and our Farmer's Hand healing salve because I'm thinking if I'm on a desert island, I'm surviving for my life. So my skincare routine's out the door. I need something to heal me if I get attacked by well, I guess not a grizzly bear on an island, but whatever's on an island, like whatever, a jaguar or something. So I think it would be the Farmer's Hands healing salve. And I named it Farmer's Hands because like men can use it. You think about a farmer with like those rough hands. My husband has farmer's hands. So and it's amazing for all things healing, like for dry skin, cracked skin, minor wounds, bug bites, burns, skin burn, all the things. So I think if I was on an island, I'd have to pick that one because I think I would just need all the things healing and I could put that on my face too. So
Well, you already know I would pick your Soothe Tallow because it
yeah.
has it has my blue tansy in it.
Yeah. Yes.
And everyone knows my love affair with blue tansy goes deep. So yeah.
I'm so glad you can have that back in your life.
I know.
Inside joke.
For those of you that don't know that inside joke, my ex-husband despised the smell of blue tansy and asked that I not wear it ever. And he is now my ex. And so I wear a lot of blue tansy. I have Valor all over my body all the time. My entire skincare routine, all the things I love from you, all the things I love from other companies that I support. I'm like, give me all the blue tansy. This is a good, like, for companies out there that want to like get my interest and want to be on my shopping guide, make something with blue tansy, but it better be regeneratively grown on organics, like organically grown and then like distilled in stainless steel. Like it better be the best blue tansy.
You
And
told me that my Soothe face cream didn't have enough blue tansy, so I literally upped my formula a little bit just because Wendy told me to. So just putting that out there.
you're welcome, everyone. You're welcome. You all get the benefit of that. All right. Tell everybody where to follow you online and where they can find you.
Okay, so yeah, we're on Instagram and Facebook, just at Willow Moon Farm. I share a lot of educational content. Behind the scenes, I show just random stories of me and my kids running around with animals. So check us out there. As far as if you're interested in products and like just learning more about our brand, you can check us out at willowmoonfarm.com. We ship nationwide. So yeah, that's where you can find us.
And you're kind enough to give my audience a discount on their purchases. So check out the show notes and use my code and you can get a discount on Sara's products. So I'm so glad you came on and we had this conversation. I get asked all the time, Wendy, what do you think of tallow? Wendy, what do you think of tallow? And I really was just like, hey, Sara, let's just get on the podcast and talk about tallow. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I was honored to talk about it, and I hope we can educate some people and kind of do away with that fear mongering of tallow and give people a better understanding. You just need to know where it's sourced, where it's coming from. And that's with everything. Like you said, just like essential oils, it's all about transparency.
Yep, absolutely. All right, girl. Well, hopefully we'll hang out soon. So
okay.
We'll see you again. Take care. Bye.
Bye.